Hi everyone, welcome to a special edition of the Octopod, this time with a video. And we're here to talk about a few exciting topics across these 3 episodes. So first one you're about to listen to is all going to be about AI and future readiness within organizations. Second one, we're going to focus on the sort of brilliant basics, all them things that maybe get forgotten when everyone gets excited about AI and all the new stuff that's coming. And then third, we're going to really focus on the concept of sovereignty and what that means for UK and European-based organizations. And I'm excited to be joined by Darren from Nutanix for these discussions. So Darren, do you want to just introduce yourself, what you do and what you spend your time doing?
Thanks, Rob. Hello, everybody. My name's Darren Wood. I'm a field CTO at Nutanix, and I spend a lot of time chatting mainly with customers, partners as well, just to understand exactly what's going on in their world, sharing insights from my side of things, because of course, I get to speak with a lot of people, and it's good to impart the real world experiences. People want elements of reassurance a lot of the time, and then the technology and the answers that Nutanix has to offer will come secondary. So I would say a lot of time traveling, a lot of time talking. And here we are again. We're talking, but on video this time. Looking forward to sharing more insights with you over this series as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, let's dig into it really. So I guess AI and future readiness is the theme for the next sort of 15 minutes-ish. We'll keep it quite succinct. We'll give some takeaways near the end for those that are still listening. But what are you hearing, Darren, I guess, as the sort of big conversation? I mean, AI has been such a buzzword now for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Seems that every 6 months we've got some brand new version of it available that people should be doing right away. Yeah. What's the sort of overriding themes you're seeing in these conversations?
Yeah, I would say the big themes would stand out for me is how organizations are still grappling with concepts. I mean, jokingly, I refer to AI as like accepting the inevitability or adolescent intelligence, because it really is still struggling to be adopted by many of us in our personal lives, let alone bringing it into an organization. And I see that businesses struggle hugely because there's pressure to be more relevant. And in a competitive market, whatever that organization might be doing, they need to, depending on their size, be appealing to shareholders. So it's not surprising we hear this many times. As soon as a company talks about doing AI initiatives, the value of that company increases massively. So there's that one side of pressure. Yeah. The business themselves have their own challenges because their own staff are wanting to use more of this tooling. And then it's not just about the operational side, it's then what about the products and how they're using AI, or can they even begin to use AI? So everyone's being pulled from pillar to post. With the meetings I have, it kind of sits into those categories really about my experiences and on where an organization wants to be solving that problem. Those are the 3 big topics there. From your side, though, when you're speaking with customers, do you see people embracing kind of the big names as is it that we are absolutely going to use the Microsoft, the Gemini, all those big names, or people looking for bespoke solutions? How does that come from your side?
Yeah, I think a lot of that depends on the maturity of the organization, where their allegiances already are. So, if they're a Microsoft house or an AWS house or Google house, obviously they're going to go to that existing provider to get them initial startup conversations going. And there's a lot of funding available in them spaces to build out them initial POCs and understand the use cases and all of that sort of work, etc. But I think what we're starting to see is this shift now from a lot of these platforms from seat-based licensing, and we're seeing this with Anthropic over the course of this year now, is it used to be, hey, we're going to charge you X pounds per month, fill your boots.
Yes.
And now it's going to be, well, we're going to charge you X pound per month plus a usage fee.
Yeah.
And estimating what that usage fee is becomes a challenge,
yes,
especially when we're thinking about the ROI to the CFO now. They're saying, well, how much is this going to cost us? Yeah. How many heads are we reducing, or how many heads are we avoiding? Because if we don't change the economics of the business from a people perspective or a revenue perspective, it's a cost.
Yeah.
It's not a saving.
No, that's it.
So we're going to really think about it in that mindset. And I think we're starting to see people think about, well, how do we manage that token cost? And I think we'll touch on that a little bit more later as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's exactly just saying about the CFO, and we were just talking about this earlier on as well. This is another kind of line item that the business really can no longer avoid. Whereas IT for many years have kind of just been given some money don't come back and ask for another year, and you just have to serve the business. But of course, with AI and exactly the examples you gave there, that suddenly there's that pot of money it is not the right pot of money for that. It's kind of an operational, dedicated cost budget. Yeah, that's very much the case. And it's just something else you mentioned about some of the bigger giants. If an organization is already aligned to one of the majors, we're seeing now that the big frontier people are even pushing professional services. They're starting those up in their own organizations and pushing them into organizations because they've kind of ticked the boxes. They can do whatever the benchmark numbers are and how many billion parameters they can support, all these things.
Yeah.
But now it's a case of we need to get on-prem because not everyone's coming to us. And, certainly if you're a government agency, people don't want to be putting everything into these new players. So I started earlier on with our conversation, people are really still trying to find confidence in a direction to go. So professional services is actually Anthropic and OpenAI of starting to build up those practices so they can get into organizations. I think that's going to be an interesting shift. Certainly as kind of partner vendor, we think we're kind of owning that space, but actually these people are now sort of coming in with their own kind of bigger arms, I would say.
Yeah, I think they'll have challenges in that space because they don't have the maturity models to understand how to work with organizations on a services-led engagement because they've never done that before. They're a SaaS provider effectively and outside of it. So their customer engagement is going to be very different. I was speaking to a customer the other day, signed up with one of the big frontier model organizations last year. Their renewal's coming and they can't get to speak to anybody.
Right.
So they're just they're hammering away at please talk to us. We'd like to spend money with you. And radio silence, which just frustrates them and makes them worry about how they can rely on that for their business going forward. And I think that's a really important factor that people need to realize. If we're going to tie market cap to AI, then it's going to become fundamental to maintaining that market cap.
Yes.
And I think when have we seen a technology before that will directly impact share price?
Yeah.
Certainly very little time when you went, hey, I'm going to move away from one hypervisor to another, or I'm going to move from one network to another, or one storage provider to another.
Yes.
Very rarely has an impact on share price.
No.
But AI as a tech is doing that, which is very different.
Yeah, and the industry rumblings. So I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago, and it was summarizing the amount of venture capitalist investment that's been going on in AI as a whole this year as an industry. And it was really challenging that the vast amount of money is going still into the big players, which is actually constraining and choking the startups who are coming up with the new ideas. I know we're going to talk about agent gateways and some other things shortly, and tokenomics a bit more, but there isn't going to be that rush of small companies coming up with these new ideas. So again, are we going to be dwarfed by the big ones all the time? I think it's another topic of conversation, but again, another angle. AI is throwing in so many different questions for everybody, and people are just still trying to get their head around it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's a good segue. You mentioned the word tokenomics. It's certainly a newish term entering the market, but that sort of FinOps practice, but around token use, especially with all these vendors move to usage-based licensing models. And we all know, that the reality today is that, a frontier model might be the fastest thing to get something done.
Yeah.
But it is probably like your Ferrari or your McLaren F1 car.
Of course.
And if what you need to do is nip to the corner shop to buy a loaf of bread down a UK pothole-covered road, that F1 car possibly isn't the fastest way or the most efficient way to get there. Now, there will be times where you need to jump in the F1 car to do what you need to do. Yeah. You need the answer instantly, sub-millisecond response times. You're in trading or it's customer services or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you have to wait 5 minutes for the answer or 6 hours for the answer or 24 hours for the answer, that maybe doesn't matter. And actually some of the open-weighted open source models potentially offer different levels of throughput, but at a very different commercial perspective. And I think this is where that tokenomics thing will start to be really valuable, is understanding the commercial cost per token in the different places you can consume them.
Yeah.
Not just throwing everything at the frontier model because, well, it can definitely give us the answer, but we need to think about where we could use them in different methods.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, the other interesting angle of this is the green angle.
Yes.
So I had a conversation with our with some recruitment earlier on in the week. And one of the questions we had is, I don't want to work to that company because I'm worried about their AI usage and the impact on the environment.
Wow. Ethics.
And then, and the ethics side of it, I had a conversation with a 10-year-old son had said, Mum, you can't ask AI that because you might kill a dolphin. But you know what I mean? That's 10.
Yeah.
At 10, they're already thinking about that. So give it another 10 years when they're coming into the workforce.
Yes.
There's a massive sort of cultural thing we need to think about and how we manage that as an organisation going forward.
Yeah, that's it.
You're seeing similar things.
Yeah, I definitely have an example around the kind of younger generations and their thought process, but you've already done that, so we're not going to go down that one. But there is only a finite amount of resources, whether we're building data centers for AI. Apparently electric cars are going to save the planet, but of course we're pulling everything out the ground, so are we really saving the planet? Most probably not. These things are going to really come to light, I think, most probably in another generation's time of IT. I say generation, like the next big shift. Because we've only just started on that big AI topic. I mean, it's nothing new. It has been around for many years anyway. It's just kind of the world's got on hold of this. So I think there's going to be some challenges around what constraints that's going to impose. Because there's only so much power that we can be demanding all the time to solve all these problems.
Yeah, well, I saw 2 articles this week on that. I think Australian government potentially going to demand that AI facilities in Australia have to generate and give back more power than they consume.
There we go. Okay.
And then also I saw that New York State is first to put a hold on building new facilities.
Right.
So 50 megawatt facility has been put on hold because they're worried about the green impact.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see them levers being pulled from that side of it. So I think it's got great potential.
Yeah.
There's lots of nuances that have to be thought about, whether that's political, whether that's security, whether that's economics, whether that's, social and cultural things that need to be worked out. And I don't think there's an answer to all of these right now. But I think there's 2 things we probably can talk about. One that I know that you want to talk about and one that I do. So as we sort of come towards the end of this, I want to focus on them 2 things. And the first one is, how do we help with that tokenomics piece? And how do we help with, well, it's great to say I need to put tokens in different places, but how do I actually do that?
Yeah.
You talked about agent gateway piece. And I want to touch on after that just a little bit of how do we start to focus the business on getting real value from the AI conversation, not just, hey, I can create a funny meme quicker.
We all like a tap dancing cat.
Yeah, exactly. But not sure that's going to really help the share price realistically at the end of the day. So maybe, Darren, you go first. And, if the customer is thinking, great, well, maybe I don't want to send all them tokens to a frontier model. How do I get around that?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, when we come down to the tokens, the costing, we just talk about manipulating data. And your example a few minutes ago about how quick do we need those answers. I mean, this is all about the raw power, but it's about understanding the right location for the data. Do we need these massive language models or just small subsets? And then if we've got intelligence when queries are being made, crudely speaking, it's a broker that's with something that says, well, okay, I can deal with that now. Actually, that's an on-prem related application or request, so I can have some intelligence around that. Oh, and by the way, I have all my identity management all mapped out already because it's on-prem. It's all part of the platform anyway. So there's greater control for auditing. Think about data sovereignty, which we're going to do in one of our other episodes.
Yeah.
All these things very much kind of cross-populate into each other. Whilst we're talking about individual topics, we mustn't forget how they all relate.
Yeah.
When it comes to the kind of the gateway side, it is about just being mindful of where the processing, where the data is being stored, and the relevance to the organization. And when those areas are understood, we can attribute some cost to it. And then with that cost, we can then control and report back then for our to our CFO or our operational cost. There's a whole mix of things in there which we need to break down. And the minute there's a lot of guesswork going on that. So we at Nutanix have our agent gateway that can be installed on Nutanix or actually anywhere that's a CNCF compliant Kubernetes. We've got agentic gateway straight away that a customer could use to help with that decision making, directing to being on-prem, pushing to the big frontier, however that might be.
So basically, we forward the request to the gateway. The gateway makes an intelligent routing decision effectively, and then pushes that request to whichever platform. And I guess day one could still be push it to the same place it was going, but report on where you could have done and build that business case for different types of investment over time. So it becomes that sort of hub of the hybrid model. And we've talked about, data and application portability for years now.
Yes.
This really sounds like token portability.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And just actually with the data side as well, because it links into if it's aligned to our AI elements of our platform, we have a lot of control and governance around the language models that can be the public ones that can be actually brought on premises for customers to be using. And we actually validate to ensure that they're not malicious as well. So again, security, governance, compliance, all these topics
wrapped in together. We could probably spend another half an hour talking about governance and compliance today. That's a whole different topic. But I think that commercial angle will become part of that governance and compliance conversation.
Definitely.
Not up until now, it's all been about accountability and referenceability and all that sort of stuff. Now I think the economics piece is going to be really key for it. And I think that'll tie back to the takeaway from myself. So I think from your side, the Agent Gateway provides that orchestration point, that visibility point. But for me, I think we need to get out of this mindset of, well, let's just come up with 200 things that AI is going to fix in our business and try and do 200 things. Because the reality is, no one's doing 200 things.
No.
If you gave 200 projects to IT, they'd probably run a mile, let alone 200 AI projects. And therefore, all we do is risk on making a load of promises and not actually delivering anything that's got a real outcome.
Yes.
So the advice that we've been giving a lot of customers is use case identification is great, but they're a foundation layer to something that's delivering ROI at a business level.
Yes.
And if there isn't a P&L owner for the AI outcome, then I'd scrap the idea.
Yes.
And that P&L owner probably will be in the line of business, not in IT.
Yeah.
And therefore, actually, you can attribute that to what's going to make a fundamental difference to someone on the board. And I always ask our teams to say this question. I said, if you went to our MD, VP, Penny, and said, what matters to CDW? She's going to come up with probably a very simple list of the things that are very important to us, and they'd be the ones that we'd want to influence.
Yes.
So, for example, our global supply and logistics business is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
So last year, over the last couple of years, we've made multi-millions of pounds of investment in AI technology to accelerate that supply chain business because it's fundamental to organization.
Yes.
And it will make a material difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's what every customer needs to really think about is what will make a material difference and go do 5 things that move the needle.
Tangible things.
Exactly, 100%. Cool. So, AI is exciting.
Very.
Lots of different things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start thinking about the economics of it.
Yeah.
Getting really focused on how we deliver business value.
Yeah. And
actually that becomes a joint conversation, I think. I don't think any one organization has all of the answers.
No.
And I think that's why from a CW perspective, we really look at how we partner in the ecosystem to help our customers get access to all the right resources at the right time. So cool. So with that, I think we'll sign off for this episode. So Darren, thank you for your time. We'll see you for the next one. For everyone listening, thank you for your time as well. We are going to be back and we're going to really then focus on them brilliant basics, the operational challenges that are still impacting IT teams. While we're being driven to do all this cool AI stuff, that doesn't take away core foundational challenges in networking, storage, and compute, cloud, and FinOps, and all these sorts of things. So next episode is going to be a lot more grounded in practical challenges and how we help fix them. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.